Hey, I recently graduated university. I went to Stanford University. It's a liberal arts school and an expensive one at that. It's about 80,000 a year, with tuition being, a little more than 50% of that. And what sucks is that you got to spend a lot of that money taking classes you maybe don't necessarily want to take. It's it's mandated that every student has a second language requirement fulfilled. So I chose Spanish because that's what I studied in high school, and you have to do 12 units of that or place out of some. So 12 units, that's actually a lot. That's about $16,000 worth of maybe a class you don't want to take, right? I mean, $1,000 is a lot. 10,000 is a ridiculous amount, and 16,000 is like, like fuck this, right? It's so stupid. But I had to do it, right? So I did a lot of studying, and I was able to actually place out of 2 quarters. Originally, I only placed out of 1 quarter. I took the test right out of high school, but then I studied really hard, and I was able to place out of 2. So this is how I did that, and hopefully these resources can be used for you as well in order to make that happen. So primarily, I wanted to share with you this PDF document, and this document is huge. It made a huge difference in my education. Basically, I was given these from my high school teacher, and they were invaluable throughout college. Actually, when I was writing essays in college, some of the other students in my class, they saw my sheets and they were like, wow, like that's amazing. Where can you get that? I tried to find something similar online and I simply couldn't. So I just photocopied my sheets to give to them, and they were able to get a lot of value out of that. So I figured I'd just give it away online too, and hopefully it'll help you as well. But basically, it starts out with, and I'll just walk you through the PDF here, and then I'll give you some other tips that help me. But the first page here is the present tense. So here we just have, ER, AR, IR verbs, and the present tense. Present's usually the first one you learn, so it's not necessarily the challenge for a lot of people, but, there's some tough irregulars here. Here's some additional irregulars to consider. Here's stem changing verbs. And now here's the past tense, right? So there's 2 past tenses in Spanish. There's the preterite and imperfect. Here's 2 mnemonics in order to help kind of remember that, biceps and weird cats. And here is the conjugations for preterite. And then here's the conjugations for imperfect. Here is a list of sort of like common words that are used for each. So something like every week, cada semana, that's an imperfect phrase. So it's broken down here as well. Then here is conjugations for future tense, el futuro. Then conditional. Conditional is like if you're going to say, I would do something. So that's the conditional here. And so that wraps up the tenses. Then here I have the famous por versus para, por versus para, right? This is something a lot of students get stuck on, right? And so this is a really helpful sheet just to reference. Here's ser versus a star, right? Similar kind of difference there. And then particularly for essay writing, here's a list of really great connective words which you could use in your essay writing. Here's just the numbers. And then lastly, here is just a full verb conjugation sheet for an AR, IR, and ER verb. So in this case, it's hablar. That's an AR verb. Here's the full conjugation for comer, which is a ER verb. And then here's the full conjugation for vivir, which is an IR verb. And so that's it. That's all the word sheets. And this PDF is going to be linked in the description. Print it out. Have it with you when you're writing your essays. It has been a huge help for me. I also used Google Translate as well. I found that really helpful. I remember in high school, I remember I Google translated my essay, and I explained to the teacher that, this is what the translation was, and then this is how I fixed it because the computer, made some mistakes. It's not perfect. And I got a 0 for that assignment because I wasn't allowed to use a translator. And man, that really pissed me off because I think you're going to find a lot of, liberal arts instructorship to be a bit Luddite. And, that sucks, right? But I would say use technology whenever you can. In order to prepare for my placement exam, I used Duolingo, which I found kind of helpful. I didn't find it really that amazing, though. I would highly recommend exploring conversational Spanish guides. In particular, there's this really great YouTube series called Spanish with Paul. And basically, I just had that playing in the background as I did my daily chores, Spanish with Paul. And he walks you through conversational Spanish which is a really great way to prepare. I think it's better than the Duolingo approach, which I don't think is super effective. And then the other thing I would highly recommend is just to kind of play the test. So you have to understand that for this test, they're looking for you to explain an aptitude of what's the basis of what you're familiar with. So while you might come out of high school and feel really strong with present tense verbs, but kind of iffy on future tense and conditional, it's better for you to just memorize one or two really common verbs in weird tenses and then just show them off on the test, right? So if you could say like, oh, conditionally, I would work here, if you could remember to say something like that, I think it really helps, because it does seem like the way that they evaluate the test is like a checkbox of like, do you do this? Do you do that? Do you do this? And if you could throw in a conditional, throw in a stem changing future tense verb, throw in a past tense, throw in a preterite, throw in a imperfect, I feel like if you can hit each one of the tenses on the sheet, like you could definitely get placed in intermediate or advanced Spanish and hopefully save yourself thousands of dollars, which I was able to do. So it's a huge deal. It's not something to take lightly, and I really hope that this can help you as much as it helped me. Thanks.